to be a special ed teacher, and I used to give tests to students, and sometimes they would have to repeat the test because they didn't learn the information. And life does that also. Life teaches us, and it keeps giving us the same lesson until finally our mental health forces us to learn from it. Let's talk about that today. Thank you for joining me today on Ask Lois the Relatable Therapist. My name is Lois Godot, and this channel is all about positivity. Positivity in relationships, positivity in family, whether it's blended family or just nuclear family, and also about your emotional wellness. And I get my information from sometimes reality TV, sometimes blogs, sometimes what's on the news, but anywhere I can, where I can get information that'll help me to help you be positive. And so today I just want to talk about life, because life is relentless. And it doesn't pause when things get hard. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't so you can catch your breath. It just keeps coming and coming. And it keeps coming whether you're ready for it or not. And so over the years, I've learned things about life. And my birthday is tomorrow. And usually when it comes down to my birthday, I like to stop and think about, what have I done? What has worked? What hasn't worked in my business? And also in my personal life. I like to sit down and think about, where I'm headed. What is the journey that I'm going on? Is it where I want to be? And so today I said, let me just sit and talk about things that life has taught me. My son, when he was younger and he got out for the first time his apartment, and you know how when you get your first apartment, you're so excited because first of all, you think you know everything and you think, hey, this is going to be a piece of cake. And then when you get out there, life happens. You get a job, you have to pay bills, you have to pay your utilities, you have to get your food. And so one Mother's Day, he sent me a letter. He wrote me a letter. And in that letter was this one line. It said, Mom, one of the things that I learned is that life is relentless. And if you don't keep up, you're going to be left behind. And I said, wow, that's something that he learned. And he probably learned that at the cost of probably not eating, maybe his utility bills were up, but he learned that. And so that's why I said, I want to talk about some of the things that I have learned. I've learned, maybe even last year, but over my life, some of the things that I've learned. And some of you may say, oh, I already know that, Lois. That's not anything new. But I have some younger viewers, or I have viewers that are just starting out. And so this may help them, or even people that are older and just never thought about that. So I kind of want to talk to you today about things that I learned. And one of the first things that I want to say is that you have to invest if you want to improve. You have to invest if you want to improve. And let me share with you, those of you who've been following me, you've seen my video intros. Some of them was a little janky, but those are ones that I did. And so this year I said, I want to improve my videos. And so in order to improve it, I had to invest. So I had to invest and get someone that actually knew what they were doing, even though, it was all right. I mean, it was an intro, but I wanted to improve it because I said, I want to be better at this. And so I actually paid someone to do it. And I think it looks pretty good. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think that intro looks good? Because I was kind of proud of it when I saw it. And so that's what I'm saying to you is like, if you want to improve, you have to invest. Whether it's you want to improve your finances, you got to invest, whether going to school, whether changing careers, whether getting a certification, you have to invest. If you want to know more, you might have to do some research. You might have to do, and not just sit and listen to what someone says, you might have to do some work on your own. So if you want to improve, you're going to have to invest. If you want a better apartment, you got to invest more money. If you want to get a house, you're going to have to invest some money. So it might sound like, oh, that's not rocket science, Lois. That's something that we know, but some people don't know that. And it takes them a long time to realize that you have to invest and not sit and wait for somebody else to do it for you. You're the one that has to invest if you want to improve. Another thing I learned is that I'm not for everyone. And that may again sound like, oh Lord, that's simple, but it took me a while to learn that. I used to try to explain myself if someone didn't understand something, or explain why I did what I did, and why don't you like me, and I'm trying my best, and trying to get people to like you, and feel like maybe if I do this they'll like me better, but I'm not for everyone. And when I first started this journey of, you know, vlogging, I looked at what other people were doing and it's like, oh yeah, I want to do that. And of course it's nice to get likes, and it's nice for I wanted to get to that 1,000 subscribers. I'm at 600 and something, so that's pretty good. Hopefully, this is a good time for a segue. Hopefully you'll like and share and even comment this video so I can get to that magic number that I'm trying to get to. But I used to try to, appease people. But sometimes people, they're not going to like you, whether they don't like you for how you look, for what you drive, how much you make, where you live, your race. I mean, we can go on and on about people just don't like you for any reason, and so there's nothing that you can do about it. Sometimes they'd rather give somebody else a compliment, a stranger, before they give you a compliment. And that's even in family. We can see that with strangers, but sometimes family will do that. They won't even like, comment, they won't do anything. And so you have to be okay with that. And I've gotten to the place I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people not liking me, because you know what? You have to find your tribe. And I did that. I found my tribe. My mother used to always say, if someone doesn't like you, find somebody else. And as simple as that sounds, sometimes people want certain people to like them. And you have to realize that everybody has a tribe. And even with this YouTube channel, some people are going to gravitate to it, some people are not going to. And that's okay, because I'm not for everyone. The next thing that I learned was I'm not the emotion police. I am not going to run around and try to figure out what's going on with people. Even though that's my job as a therapist, I do. But in my everyday life, I'm not the emotion police. When my kids were younger, it was up to me to figure out, how can I make your life better? What can I do? But now they're adults. I don't even do that for them now. They have to figure it out. And sometimes people have to figure it out. They have to figure out, what's going on. Now, if I've done something, if I said something, I'll say I'm sorry, but it's up to you to accept it. I'm not going to run around and, oh, why aren't they accepting what I said? And, I apologize and they're still upset. And what can I do? I'm not doing that. I'm not wearing myself out. That's that emotional wellness I'm talking about. I'm not stressing myself out. I've learned how to create boundaries, because, again, going back to number two, I'm not for everyone. And so when I realize I'm not for everyone, I'm not going to stress myself out, because these life lessons will keep repeating themselves until you finally change and learn how to protect your peace. And so, again, this may seem simple, but everybody don't know this. Go ahead and write down some of the stuff that you learned. Tell me some of the stuff that you've learned in life. Put it in the chat. I'd love to hear it, or rather, I'd love to see it, because this isn't live. I love to see some of the things that you have learned. Okay. Number 4, it's not a competition. Life is not a competition. And this is not so much for me, but this is what I've noticed, I've learned with other people. Sometimes people try to compete with you. And sometimes you don't even know that they're competing with you. You're just doing what you want to do, what you like doing. And sometimes people will try to compete with you. And so I've learned that, even being a vlogger, that I'm true to who I am. A lot of these things that I'm telling you, they run together. Because once you learn to accept who you are, this is all about acceptance, and you learn that your journey may be different than someone else's journey, you're okay with it and you have peace about it. The next one, this is a big one. Release my expectations. I've learned to release my expectation, because I realized that's what was keeping me frustrated in some areas, because I had an expectation of someone else that they weren't going to reach. Not that it was so high, but because it may not have been what they wanted to do. And that was what I wanted them to do. And so now, if I give someone something, I don't expect anything in return because I know that when I do that, then I'm frustrating myself. I'm putting myself on pins and needles, on edge. And again, if I want to maintain my peace, I can't have an expectation. Even though it might have not been anything that's unrealistic, sometimes people don't do what you think that they're going to do. You may help them, you may do things for them, because that's what I would always try to do. And then when it came time for me, people wouldn't show up, people wouldn't be there for me. And so I've learned to release expectations. I heard someone say one time, don't give someone something that you can't afford to lose. And that made sense. And so even if I don't have the money to give to someone, I'm not going to give it to them because if they don't give it back to me, then I'll be frustrated, angry, mad, upset. But if I have it, I'm going to give it to you because if you don't give it back, it's nothing that I've lost anyway because I'm trying to keep my peace. And peace is something that once you lose it, it's hard to get it back. Another thing I've learned is I celebrate myself. Because if you wait till people celebrate you, you'll be waiting. You might turn into a skeleton. You will be continuously waiting because people, I'm not saying everybody, there are some people that do, but a lot of people don't celebrate other people for various reasons. So I've learned to celebrate myself. Again, people will celebrate a stranger sometimes before they even celebrate family members, before they even celebrate people that they know. You know, I can't say enough about celebrate yourself. There's a scripture in the Bible for my Christian listeners that says, encourage yourself, encourage your own self. David had to encourage himself. And so that's what I've learned. I've learned to revise my expectations and encourage myself. And so those are some of the things that I have learned over my years. And again, like I said, I want you to write down in the comment things that you've learned and share those with me because I would really like to read. And people on this channel would love to hear it too. Until next time, continue to make mental health a priority and not an option.